University. Thank you. Their English is elementary level. And the reason for this is because they don't meet enough language. They're only meeting their course book. They don't meet enough language. So if you read this, this will double your vocabulary for 15 minutes to read one book, maybe an hour to read one book. So some of your class time should be reading. At the beginning of the class, give everybody 10 minutes reading time. You can always find 10 minutes in a class, or maybe 10 minutes for homework. So how can I integrate this reading? Can we get rid of that sign at the top there? Okay, that's the top. So how can I put this into your school? Well, there's three ways. Without changing your curriculum, by changing the curriculum a little, and by changing the curriculum a lot. Some of you who are teachers have very little control about your course, right? You can't change anything. The head teacher says, you do this. Okay, right? And sometimes you can change a little, maybe just your class. And sometimes you have power to change everything. So let's look. So without changing your curriculum much, come on, what happened here? Hello. I don't know what happened. Okay, please go to sleep. No, you made me. Okay, that's right, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So without changing your curriculum, so one thing you can do, you could ask students to just keep the book on their desk. You're using your normal class, the book is here on the desk. And if there's a quiet time in class, maybe the students have finished doing something in their textbook and they're waiting for other students, pick up your book, just read. Or maybe there's a quiet time in class because the teacher's setting up the computer. Please read. There's only a few minutes. There's always a few minutes in every class. And you can also ask students, please take your book home. Please take your book home and read it at home. Please finish the book by Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you're going to talk about it. You can start a book club or reading circle or book days with your students. You can just say, I want you to read 10 books this semester. Do it in your free time. Do it with your friends. There are books in the library. Go to the library and find some time to do this. Or you could ask the students, if it's for children, you could ask the parents to read the book with the child. So maybe you're my father or my mother, right? I will be reading to my parent, or my parent can read to me if in English. Right? So you could also do this. And we found this where the children, parents are reading together. We found a very strong bond, stronger bond between parent and child. Because every night, just before bedtime, the parent and children are reading together. Either the child reading to parents or parents reading to children. So that has a very good effect on family relationships. Or even older brother or sister can do that. If you change your curriculum a little, if you know that your textbook, for example, Unit 1 is about travel, Unit 2 is about technology, then what you can do is look for all of the books in your library about travel and make it in the library and say to the students, go to the library. We have a book display of all the books about travel. Go and choose one. So match the reading with the topic in your course book. You can set up a reading marathon, like a reading challenge. Yeah. Ask students who can read the most in, say, 1 week, 2 weeks, 24 hours, who can read the most in a semester, and then give a prize, maybe some coffee or an iPad or something. You never know, right? In many places, in Mongolia, they do this. Mongolia, they have 40,000 students competing, and the top student gets a computer. Oh, second top student gets a computer. Top student gets 1 week holiday in Australia. Right? So I get the students to read at home. You don't have class time, please take your book home, read it, come back and talk to us. What you can also do is get students to go to the library, find all of the books, and say, okay, this one's about romance, and this one's about romance. Let's make a romance display. Romantic stories or travel stories, and get the students to make a display. And by doing this, secretly, the students are starting to learn about the library. And they're looking for some books in the topic. So get the students to do that, not you. Get the students to make a book display. If you can change your curriculum a lot, then integrate it with your normal coursework. So you will match a book with the topic that you're doing. And it's required reading. So you can invite guests. And this is a very powerful way to get the message of extensive reading. You can invite guests, for example, a senior student who loves reading. Get the senior student to come to your class and explain how reading helped. Students will listen much better to other students than they will to me or you. Yeah? So getting students who've done well, get them to come and help. You can also give a grade. You can say, for your course, the course book is 60% reading, 40% of your grade. If you assign, say, 5% for the reading, students go, 5% not important. Won't do the reading, right? It's not worth it. A lot of effort for 5%. So increase the percentage, about 40%. Because if you say 20% or 30%, many students say, oh, I'll do a little. But if you do 40% of your grade, students know it's important. And therefore they will do it. And they know if they don't do the reading, good chance they fail. Yeah. So because it's important, as I said yesterday, give it a high percentage of the grade. You also require students to take a reading test. Now, later, I'm going to show you 2 websites where you can get students to read, and after the reading, there'll be a test. But also, many of these books also have a test if you want to. And again, I'll show you how later. And as I mentioned yesterday, flip the classroom. If you've got the students reading, if you've got the students writing something in class, reading and completing the book, don't waste class time doing that. Get them to do that at home first. Yeah. Do the boring part of the textbook at home and then bring it into the classroom where they can speak, right? Just flip the classroom. So how do you build a library? Well, it's important to remember there are books at different difficulty levels. So here we have a system. In my university, the brown level are the easiest books. Then we have the yellow and so on, right? Yellow, blue, green, pink. And you can see on the book, there's some colored tape. Can you see? Right? So Do I Tell is brown. Goodbye, Mr. Hollywood is yellow, right? So what you do is you put all the beginner books together, all the elementary books together, all the upper elementary books together, and put them in colors. Okay? And you can also have a checkout sheet. So they write their name, what was the book, what level, what class, when did they borrow, when did they not. So that's a very easy system. Now, my hope is you can put these books in the university or the school library. But if they don't want the books, then you can either have your own class library or make a place in your school. So you can also have a class set. Do you remember I said there were 2 kinds of extensive reading? One type is where everybody reads something different. They read something they like, they read something at their level. And the other way is to do class reading. Like yesterday, we looked at Bad Dog, Good Dog. That was class reading. And we could talk about it together. So we have this. Do you know Love Story? Do you know the Love Story book? No? No. Your homework tonight, go on Netflix, find the movie. I guarantee 60% of you will cry. It's a lovely story. So some people may think that these books are kind of not interesting because they're it's easy language. Students will not be engaged mentally. So we use this as the first book of the year, my students. And I have about 40% of my girls cry at the end of this. So they are emotionally engaging. Also, popular books, you can see the gold on the book on the right. If a book is very popular, put gold tape or maybe gold star. So the other students know, right? So also you might need a reading record sheet. And there's two ways to do this. One way to do this is to have one piece of paper for the class. So what I do with my students, on the inside of the book here, I will have a book number. So maybe this is yellow. So I'll have Y012, yellow book number 12, right? You don't have to write out the full name, yellow book 12. And you write it on the paper. When it comes back, I cross out yellow 12, okay? So you can see here that Oliveira Miguel did not return Y072, right? Miguel, where's your book? Where's your book? All right. Or you could do where you have one piece of paper for each student. So the bottom one, this is for Fukumoto Aya. And this is all of the books that she did. So one paper for the whole class, or you could have one paper per student. So that's an easy book management system. Please don't library like this. This is an extremely boring library. And we know it's boring because the lady looks bored. Right? This is a really bad way to have a library because student goes to the library. What's my level? I have no idea. I can't find my book, right? So put colors on the books. And all the books are facing this way. So you have to take it out, look, and take it out, look, and take it out, look, right? And so students get bored. This will do, right? So they choose the wrong book. So please don't put books like this. And you can see all the orange books are together, the black books are together, the blue books are together. And these are from different publishers. Please don't do this. Put all the books together, beginner, lower elementary, elementary. And then students can say, I'm a pink person. I will go to the pink corner, right? I will go to the blue, right? And also, you don't need to put books back in order, A, B, C, D, or number 1, 2, 3, 4. No, anywhere's okay. Anywhere's okay. This is the school in Tokyo I told you about yesterday. They have between 10 and 15,000 books in each classroom. All the way around, there are lots of books. And here you can see the students have got 3, 4 books waiting. The boy in blue is now studying at Harvard. Okay. This is a video. By the way, later I'll give the QR code and you can download. This is a video. I'm not going to play it. This is my friend Stephen with my university library. And you can see we have book display. So this is the green books, blue books, yellow books, brown books. And down here we have some extra books. So this is a nice, easy way for students to find books. Here's a book display. You should also maybe have somebody can help. So if you have a librarian, can help people make decisions. Here you have some book carousel. And if you want maybe some newspapers, some English newspapers for the advanced students, make it a fun, interesting place. These are the book carousels. And again, you can see these are the brown books. These are the green books. These are the pink books. Yeah. The students can easily find them. And here's another one. This is a school in Korea. This is a school in Korea. And this one here is a university before they changed the library into something more useful. If you don't have space for a library, put them in a suitcase. Bring them to class, right? Make it nice. But find a suitcase with a lock because the teachers will steal them, right? And maybe you could have three suitcase A, B, suitcase C, and you can rotate different week, different classes. Yeah, so it's easy to move along. Or even between schools, school A and school B can move the suitcase every month. Therefore, you can share libraries between schools, right? So here are some examples of what students do. This is my friend Rocky in Korea, and he's giving advice to the students. He's not teaching, he's not at the blackboard, he's not using a textbook, he's giving advice, helping students to understand, maybe helping them with writing summaries. Students writing a summary down here. This girl's choosing the book. This one here is filling out the read record. What did I read? How many words? How many pages? Did I enjoy it? And here are some students reading and doing some exercises following the reading. So, if you're a newbie, person new to extensive reading, first thing is, and my advice, start with just one class. See how it goes. Maybe the books will be too different. Maybe the books are too easy. Maybe the book choice is not good. Maybe your students love horror stories, right? But you don't have the horror stories, right? Or maybe you might find you ask them to do two fight back, or maybe not enough reading, so they are not practicing. So you need to find out what works in my class, what works with my students. Collect some data from them. Ask them an interview before the course about their feeling, their motivation about English. Give them a questionnaire at the end of the course. Find out which book, what genres did you like? If we buy more books, what kind of books? So try with, say, one class first. Then maybe with a friend, do another class in second semester. And maybe later, after a year, maybe the whole school year. Yeah. So build up, learn to make mistakes. You will. Okay. Go slowly. Go slowly. Please do not suddenly buy some books tomorrow. Go to your students and you say, I went to this fantastic lecture and they talked about extensive reading. I bought some books. Please read. Right? That's not a good way to solve to your students. The best thing for you to do is when there's a change of school year, or maybe a change high school to university, you can say, you are now second year students. Because you're second year students, it's reading. And you go like, oh, okay. Right? If you try and sell this to them, you will seem it's an automatic thing we do when you get to junior high school second year, when you to university third year. Just make it feel natural and normal. If you try and sell it, they will push back. Look for problems. What? Wrong. How books, maybe don't have enough money. Maybe the students don't have time. Make time. So try styles. Sometimes you do all class reading. Everybody reads the same book. And sometimes you would have them read their own stories. Yeah. Try different styles. Set your aims. So a reading goal. So I want you to read 30,000 words this semester. I want to read, my unit it's 100,000 words, 400,000 in my university. Things don't always go well. And sometimes what happens is maybe you're doing the, but she's not doing the extensive reading course. And your students do really well on the tests. We have a school test at the end of the year, and her students do more than her student. Sometimes you may get jealous teachers, right? Because she may feel, I'm not a good teacher. She's a better teacher than me. And so she will fight back. Can we have some more books? No. So sometimes you find jealous teachers or teachers. I'm having a problem. I only teach grammar. Reading is not for me. That's okay. If you identify as a grammar teacher, that's fine. But somebody in your school should be doing this reading. Yeah. So, assessment. This is a big topic here. How do we assess the reading? Well, the first thing to remember is when you're doing extensive reading, there's no teaching. There's no grammar exercise, no vocab exercise, because extensive reading is not about teaching. It's about learning, right? So your job as a teacher changes. You stop being a teacher. You now become a guide. So your job is to understand, you need to make sure the students understand why they need to read. The things that I've said, because of deepening your knowledge, because of faster reading speed, they need to meet a lot of language. Make sure they understand. Make sure they're reading at the right level. And soon I'll show you how to do that. Make sure they understand their books and they're not just turning pages. Make sure they actually understand. So you can go to them and say, what's happening in your story? Oh, okay, right? Or you'd say, that looks like a difficult book. Can you read it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. So what does this word mean? Oh, I don't know. Right? Or they say, I finished the story. Did you enjoy it? Yes, it was a great story. What was the ending like? Was it a happy ending? Right? But if you find students are not doing the reading, don't get angry with them. Just, come on, let's read. Or would you like an easier book? Encourage them. Don't damage confidence. Make sure they do enough reading, 1 book a week at minimum. They can choose the right books. Students often just choose by the cover. They say, oh, I like cats. I will read this book. But it might be too difficult for them. Yeah. So be careful. Can they monitor their reading? I'll explain that in a minute. They'll also tell you if you have trouble, like, excuse me, teacher, this book is too difficult, or I don't understand, or teacher, do you have a horror book? I really want to read horror. Or do you know a good romance book? Right? Have a dialogue with them. What that means is it's important for you to read many of these books too. You should read some of these books so that you know. Make sure they're actually reading, not just looking at the pictures. and they're motivated to keep reading. So students need to be trained how to read extensively. Many students believe the only way to read is with a dictionary. So you need to stop them, say, dictionary away, dictionary away. Can you read without a dictionary? So there's something we call a 5-finger rule. If you're reading the book, 1 word I don't know, 2 words I don't know, 3 words I don't know, 4 words I don't know, 5 words I don't know, put the book down. If there's more than, say, 2, 3, 5 words per page they don't know, probably too difficult. Okay. Make sure they're reading extensively, fluently, and they're not just doing reading with a dictionary. Do they know the difference between study reading and extensive reading? Can they identify books at the right level? That is pink level, blue level, green level. Can they monitor their own reading? And can they understand their difficulties? So once you can do that, once the students are trained to read well, get out of the way. Don't interfere, just get out of the way, let them read. So how do you know students are reading extensively? How do you know when a student has a book, how do you know they're reading extensively and not reading like study reading? The student has to think, can you read something quickly and enjoyably with adequate comprehension so you don't need a dictionary? R-E-A-D. Okay. What was that? Can you read? What was the sentence? Can you read something? You forgot. All right, let's have a look. Everybody repeat. Can you read something quickly and enjoyably with adequate comprehension so you don't need a dictionary? Okay, one more time. One more time. So here we go. One more time. Already? Did you memorize? Have a look. Think about it again. Okay. Good. So by tomorrow, because of the forgetting curve, you will forget. So the important one's the last one. If you need a dictionary, it's study reading. If you need a dictionary once every page, maybe that's okay. So do they need a dictionary? That's the big thing. If you see your students using a dictionary, you may want to say, how's the book? I really enjoy the book. That's okay. Keep going. Maybe a student wants to read a book which is very difficult, but they love the topic. It's fine. Motivation is most important. They really want to read it, let them have it, even if it's a bit difficult, because their motivation will help them get through the book. If they're not motivated with the book, suggest something different. Like, could you maybe stop reading that and maybe try something easy, or remember the title, come back later when your English is better. So yes, fluent reading, no, study reading. So sometime in class, your students should be reading. And your job as a teacher is to go around and talk to the students quietly. They're reading quietly and say, how's your book? It's okay. We're enjoying it, right? How's your book? It's good. It's fine. So what's this word over here? Do you know what that means? Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's another really good romance. So your job is to coach them, to help them, right? Identify reading difficulties. So one way you know is, do they turn pages quickly? They turn pages slowly, they're reading too slow. Or Is their reading speed lower than 60 words per minute? If it's lower than 60 words per minute, they're probably doing study reading. Do they look in the dictionary? Do they look bored? Right? These are all signs that they're not engaging with the reading. Can they tell the stories to others without trouble? So if you finished your book, please talk to your partner. If she can say, even in Bahasa Indonesia, even if she said, yes, I can understand this, she can say something about the book, you know she's understood. If she says nothing, you know she didn't understand it, or she's lazy. You know? Can they understand why people do things in the story? So why did John do this? Maybe they can tell. Are they reading slowly, and are they enjoying the books? So these are signs you can have as an extensive reading teacher. So there's different ways to assess. One is through a comprehension test. Students hate tests, right? But do remember, why should you give a test? Well, it's not necessary. What's your reason for giving a test? Are you actually testing comprehension, or are you giving them a test because I always give a test? You have to have a reason to give them a test. Because if the test takes 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes less reading, right? But also remember, if the students are doing READ, they pick up a book, they read the first page. Yes, I understand this book. They have already passed the comprehension test because you know you're reading at the right level. They don't know the information yet, but that's not important. What's important is to assess their reading at the right level. So very often comprehension tests are not necessary. The other reason is if you have a comprehension test, and sometimes at the back of books, you may have some comprehension questions. What will happen is she will read the book, remember the answers, give the answers to her, give the answers to him, right? So maybe they will cheat, right? So what you can do is count the number of words they read. 20,000, 40,000, 50,000 words. How many books do they read? Do they meet the reading goal? Also, they could write a report, make a presentation. So these are indirect ways. And my advice is it's probably not a good idea to give them a test because they may cheat. It's better to test them on something that follows the read. So they read the book, give a report to the class. Test them on the report, not the book. Because they can only do the report if they finish the book. Test them on something which means they have to have read the book. Some do a presentation, make a report, maybe they make a poster. Test them on that. Don't test them on the book, test them on the report. So if you do want to give them a quiz, this website called mreader.org has about 8,000 quizzes for all the major publishers' books. And what you do is you create a teacher account, you put in the student's ID and password, tell the students the ID and password, they find their book, take the test. And you have a record. It's called mreader.org, mreader. So the student will log in, will find their book. They then take a test. And then all the data is available for the teacher. How many books they read, how many words they read, whether they passed the test or not. Notice, there's no reading books here. This is only for quizzes. So if you have a paper library and you don't want to make tests, please use this. Okay? That's free system. So I want you to read this. Many of you here, I think, like tests. I know you do. I can see you smiling. So please take this test. Please read this. Don't read with your lips. Easy, huh? The grifty snolls cloppered rouchingly along the unchoffed trake. They were claring, so they higgled on spritly. Ah, chive cave, they squawked very hoppily. Me bizarre quodge. Quodge? Stilled one, and flitted even joclier. Where did the snolls clopper? Along the unchoffed trake. Well done. What was the trake like? They were clary. What was the trough like? It's an adjective, of course. What was the trake like? Unchoffed. Very good. Yes, unchoffed trake. Why did they higgle on? They were clary, so they higgled on. And where were they going? Where were they going? Remember, places and names have capital letter. Where were they going? Quodge. Excellent. Right. So you now have full score on your test. You have 100%. Please now tell me about this passage in your own words. Now, what do I mean here? You got 100% on the comprehension test, but your comprehension is actually nearly zero, right? So comprehension tests don't always measure comprehension, right? Now, of course, this is an extreme example, but please don't trust because they get 8 out of 10 on a comprehension test does not mean they have 80% comprehension. They may have 90, they may have 40. So be careful. It doesn't always test comprehension. So the indirect way for assessing extensive reading is to do an instant reading report. For example, like this one. Fill in these sentences. For lower level learners, maybe they just have to serve, right? Or you could just like this one. It was good, it was okay, it was not so good. And you could have sentence completion. The main characters' names were ... So this is one you can do for beginning learners. Yeah. This one's a little bit more advanced, where students don't get the prompt. If you want, you can get students to draw the story in pictures. Here I have 4 boxes, but you may want 8. Get them to draw a report of the story. They could write a report and draw pictures. They can fill in the blank. So this is a reading report, which books, what level, how much time, how many pages. They can do discussions. They can do discuss one-to-one, discuss in a group. These are different ways that we can do. You may use dice with comprehension questions. So what did the main characters have in common? So you have a group, roll the dice, you answer the question, right? So you can buy these or just make your own. Make your own. You could have a puppet show, poster presentation, YouTube videos, make a YouTube video, stick it up on YouTube, giving a report. Draw the story. Write your own version of the story. So you could rewrite the story maybe in a different time. Rewrite the story from a man's perspective, not the girl's perspective. Okay? Or rewrite the story, but make it a horror story. So this website here, I want to show you briefly. I'm going out of here for now. And we're going to go to here. Oh, what's this doing? Why is that there? Okay. I have just lost my. Okay. So this is the Extensive Reading Foundation website. This is the organization that I work for, and this is now live. So on this website, there are many different menus across here. And the one that you would like is probably this one, graded readers. So this one here has got the graded reader scale. Come on. So, oops, too far. So this here is a scale of extensive reading from beginner to advanced, okay? Now, if you click down here further to this table here, you can see all the publishers on the left and the level of their series on the right, yeah? So notice, this is a level 1 book, but this is also level 1, right? Not the same. So what you do is, for example, this will be your yellow books, this will be your brown books, this will be your green books, and so on and so on. Yeah. So this table will help you to organize your library. Okay. One more thing I'd like you to have a look at is in this menu. If you want to find some books, this link here has a list of all of the graded readers currently available. So for example, these are the publishers: Black Cat, Cambridge, Compass, eFuture, and so on, yeah? So let's just look, for example, at Cengage, this one. And this is very useful information for librarians. So it has the name of the story, the author, what series it's in. It also has, whoops, beg your pardon. It also has its level. What am I doing here? What's going on? Here we go. Yeah. Has the level, publisher information, headwords, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. Whether the quiz is on MReader or not, the genre of the publication, and very useful for librarians, the ISBN, the book number, so they can then borrow the books. They can then buy the books. Yeah. So this is a very useful thing to have a look at. Also, one thing you should look at down here is some help. This is some guides or information for you. So here we have a guidebook. And this is guidebook in many different languages, including Bahasa Indonesia. So this here you can download. And there's a guide, 16-page guidebook will teach you what is extensive reading, how to set up your library, and so on and so on. Okay. So at the end of this book, when we go back to here, when we've seen that, at the end of this book, there's about 100 different activities that you can do before reading, while reading, or after reading, right? So if you're looking for ideas, this is the place to go. And these ideas are in that guidebook, okay? So when you build a library, is it better to build a paper library or a digital library? Let's look at the advantages. Now, if you ask students, do they prefer to read online or do they prefer to read on paper? Their answer, digital, online. Because it's easy to find the books. They can read anywhere. Their smartphone has this all the time. They don't want to walk across the university to go and get their book, hand in the book, and come back. They're lazy, right? Normally, naturally. So they prefer to read online. But if you ask them which is a better reading experience, they will say paper. Right? They prefer reading with books. So suitcase of books, bring to the library, bring to the class. But in terms of access to the books, they prefer digital. So the setup cost for a digital library is immediate, like today. Just subscribe, create your class, you can start tomorrow. With a paper-based library, you have to, first of all, What books are we going to have? Where are we going to put them? Who's going to manage them? What's the checkout system? What are the levels we need? That's going to take months. And you need to find money, a lot of money, because these books are what, $4, $3, $5 each, right? So if you have 500 students, you're going to need 1,000 books. That's $4,000, right? With a digital library, you can start tomorrow. So for a digital library, for a good one, about $12. It's about what? 4 nasi goreng, right? We can all lose a little weight, right? So go hungry for 4 lunchtimes and you can pay. The other thing in terms of security, there's no lost books. With a paper library, you're going to lose some books. They will get damaged. You don't have to replace them. So if you also have a paper library, you need a physical space. And that involves time, electricity. You need a librarian to take in the books, check out the books, put them in the library, chase students. So there's a high cost for a paper library in terms of time. For assessment, you need to, for data tracking, so you need to track the data through the library on a digital system, automatically done by the digital software. For assessment, the tests are already on the system. But here you have to make your tests or use mReader. So finding a book is easy in digital, just tap, 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 Romeo and Juliet. But it might take a long time to find the book you like in the paper library. Okay? So also the digital one has interactive information, sometimes vocabulary quizzes, vocabulary exercises, look up dictionaries, journals, lots of useful things in the digital library. Okay? But the problem, of course, our students use their phones too much, right? So paper is better. So let's have a look. What are some systems? This one's by Oxford, right? So you can go to Oxford, but the problem is you need to buy. And this is £30. That's about $50 per year per student, which is a lot. And only Oxford books. Yeah. So for Macmillan, you have to buy each book. You have to buy a 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 book. You can't share them. So if the student's reading 1 book a week, that's £4.40. That's $7 each per student per week. Not possible, right? Same with this one. Scholastic, you have to buy each book. Every student has to buy each book. No good, right? And this is the same in the Cambridge system. You have to buy each book. This is $12 per student per week. Crazy, right? So I'm going to introduce to you 3 great digital sites. Please take a picture. The first one has free listening and videos, but there's no login. So the teacher cannot track what's going on. The student can't remember what's going on. The second one, ER Central, that's my website. I made about 12, 14 years ago. And then X Reading is the one at the bottom, which is best. Definitely the best. So for ER Central, that's this one. Notice there's a student page and a teacher page. Can you see teacher, right? If you click on the teacher page, you can see it shows you the blue. Can you see the blue? That is how you set up your students, right? So if you want to set up your students, that's how you do it. Just read the page. I'm not going to explain. Just read the page. There's also some information for teachers. Learn about extensive reading resources, guides, programs, ideas, videos, Lots of help. So for students, there's either individual account for students or an institution account. for teachers. So you have an institution account, all the students under her teacher's account. Right? So for a student, they log in and they see this page. So they click read and they, oh, beg your pardon, they have a reading test first to check their level. Level check to the level 7, for example. Then they click read. They can then see the reading library. They can search by level, search by genre, search by many different things. They choose a book, see some information. They can bookmark or they can read it. It tells you the level, how many words, and so on. And then they read the text. And when they finish, they click the page. And also notice reading time at the top. This allows you to check reading speed. They click to the end, click finished. Now they rate the book. I like it, I didn't like it. They can take a quiz or no quiz. There's the quiz. And then it records the data at the top. How many words, how many books, quiz scores, and so on. For speed reading, same thing. Click a book. 3, 2, 1, go. You read and click at the top, I finished. Yeah. So this student finished. Come on. And they read 3,100 words per minute, which is obviously not true. So this will give you the reading record sheet. And come on. Oh, one more step back. Yes, so the reading here. So for the listening library, there's also listening that they can do on the same website. Same idea, go to the listening library, choose a text, and this time you can see the audio at the top. Click go. So they can just listen and read, or just read. And again, they have comprehension questions. If they don't know the meaning of a word, click look up, there's a dictionary. Okay. And notice here, they can click to save the word. ER Central has a site which allows you to study the vocabulary. So here they have the vocabulary. So if they click save the word, they have 4 vocabulary games to practice the words. So another solution is X-reading. ER Central is free. The site I showed you before is free. But it's a bit old. It was built, say, 12 or 14 years ago, and the technology sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work, right? So if I fix the website, it will cost me $30,000 or $40,000 from my money, right? Because I paid for this with my money for you. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes there's some bugs. So probably I will not update the website. So if it doesn't work very well, sorry. Yeah. So the other choice is X-reading. This is a much better system, even though you have to pay money. The reason is, on this system, they have the books from the famous publishers by for example, Macmillan, by Cengage, by eFuture, and so on. Yeah. So the idea here is, on the left, you've got all of these publishers. They have unlimited simultaneous use, so all your students can read the same book at the same time. Anytime, anywhere. And it's available on computer and also mobile device. And it's connected to a learner management system, which allows the teachers to track the progress, assess their understanding, guide their selections, and assign activities. So, for example, on a computer, looks like this, on a tablet and a phone. But what's important here is that it's not PDF. With a PDF, you need to, it's very difficult, right? So it will resize. So you can see here that the text will change depending on the device. With ER Central, sorry. So these are the levels. There's 14 levels, like all of these series. So for the students, 3 easy steps. Log in, select a book, and read. That's simple. So what you do when you join, so our student is Mark Twain. You add a book, click add a book. You then can choose from the library. You can search by level, by genre, by type. You get information about each book. You get to see a sample first chapter. You can listen to a little bit of the story. And you can find out about the characters. Who are the characters in the story? So this is a lot more information than ER Central. So you click the story, here's the story, and you click next. Now look at the right, the top left, you can see the green bar, and as you go, the progress, you can see the progress, right? So the system remembers. When the students finish the book, they can see how many words they read, what percentage they've read, what speed they are reading, and so on. This is the student's private area. So for the students, they can also change things, the font size, the color, the background. These all can be changed. There's also quizzes for each book. They have audio. So here you can have them at 5 different speeds, really slow or fast, right? So you can slow down, but it's without distortion, so it still sounds natural. 5 different speeds. Now for the teacher's side, you can look at the student data. So for example, I am the teacher. I have 3 classes, great writers, Beatles, and first presidents. I then look at one of them. These are my students in that class, and I can see the number of books, the number of words, the reading time, the reading speed, and so on. All very useful data. And if I click one student, so I then see each student's information. The pink and the red mean either they didn't pass the test or they're reading too quickly. They're reading just, this can tell. So this student is reading 594 words per minute. No way. I can't read 594 words per minute. One advantage is if you have the students in the classroom reading together, we can then check. So you click, can you see live monitor? 1, 2, 3, 4, live monitor. Click that. And if your students are reading, it can tell you who is reading and who is not reading. So you know the red ones, he's looking at YouTube and she's looking at Netflix, right? How's your reading going? So this is a good way to check, right? Now, you can choose, for example, to make a class with just one book. Everybody read the same book. Or you could say only level 2, only level 4, only level 5. Or you can say the whole library. You can choose which books your students see, okay? And you have a lot of control. So you can choose, for example, which level. You can choose which genres they can see. And if you want to, you can just unselect, unselect, unselect. So you don't want advanced students reading really, really, really easy books, right? Switch them off. Or you don't want beginner students reading really, really, really difficult books. So you can select. You can choose by which series you want them to read. And then, or you can just choose one book. So you have assignments for it, yeah? So, for example, all the students will read Egghead. Egghead is the same author as this book, Michael Lacey Freeman. So also you can have reports, so a journal. So in the teacher can say, when the students finish, they have to type a summary or not. You can choose. So what you do is student looks at the book and then they have to add the journal in pink, you can see there. Then the student will write their report. This book was about da 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 da. They type their report. The teacher can now see the report and you can, thank you, well done, what a nice report. And the student can see. So this is all done online. It's not going to waste any paper. Yeah. So these are some of the features of this. Also, the system has some vocabulary. Some books, for example, this book has some vocabulary. Before you read, there's some vocabulary here, and that's on the system. So the students can take a little vocabulary quiz before they read. So here are some examples for that book, preview vocabulary. They can learn the words before they read. Yeah? Correct. So that helps them, particularly beginners, yeah? Also, you have speed reading. If you want your students to read faster, they select a text, and it then will give the score for speed reading. It tells how long they've been, how quickly they are reading. Okay, so this is one, 1, 2, 3, go. And they then read, get to the end, finish, and you can see what their speed is. And there's the graph. So let's use X reading. Please take out your phone. Everybody, take out your phone. So you now have, for 1 month, you have a free X reading account. You can read all 2,000 books if you wish, right? Free for you. Yeah. So thank you very much to X reading to show you the system. So what you do is you open X reading, right? So use your email address. You register for this with an email address, right? And then the password is X reading. Okay. Let me show you how this is done. So here is my password. So this is X reading. All right, can you see? So I put in, this is just an imaginary email for me, fantastic@gmail.com, right? It's not a real email. I just made it for the system. So you do that, log in. Whoops, what happened there? I forgot my X reading, yes, X reading. Okay, so now you'll get this page. All right, for the moment, can you put your phone down for the moment? Put your phone down and I'll show you what to do. So when you get to the first page, you'll see a green page that says, do you want to watch a video? No, later. Click the other one, a bigger, I think it's right side, yeah? Click the one and you'll see this. Here you'll see you have 2 assignments, right? First assignment, and let's do the first assignment. The first assignment has only 5 books to choose. The second one, the whole library. Okay, so what you need to do is put your email address in the login and then X reading for password. Off you go. Please read. Please, let's go. So when you come in, go to first, add a book, choose your book. Wi-Fi is a bit today. Add a book. Here's your library, and you can choose one of these 5 books. 4 books, 5 books. Yeah. Just choose one and then read. Okay, everybody okay? Good. Password X reading. Password X reading. No capital, just X-R-E-N. X reading is the password. Everybody okay? Yes? Anybody having trouble? So your email address is login password X reading. Yes? Well, did you register for your? Yes? Yes? So these should be, it's the email you registered for this course. Email you registered for this course. No? Mm. Well, the owner of the website said that you have been added.
Check. So everyone, please log in. Username tasik@gmail.com. Password X reading. So mm, so you have to read this first. So let's assume you register for this seminar. You put your email. So use that email as your username, and you have been granted a password X reading to access the website. So there will be your name over there. So mhm. I'll help you guys out.
If after this class you cannot log in, talk to me and I will make sure you can get access. Right? I will give you access later if you can't do it now. Yeah. We'll find a way. So when you log into X Reading, use a book, for example, Sarah Surprise, and then just read. So it looks like my Wi-Fi is very slow today. This is usually very fast. Yeah, it looks like it may be because we have 100 people access at the same time. Anyway, so please just try this. Yeah, it's your email plus X Reading. It may be that we have too many people at one time trying to access. So please just use this for, you have free access for 1 month. So there's two is actually for this class. So just read. My aim is just read to your friend. But we don't have time because we need to stop soon. So at home, choose the second assignment. And then you can read any book that you wish. All right? Thank you, X Reading. Yeah. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So now we are here again. Whoops, where are we? So how do you do this? So for X Reading, the price is about 150 to 200,000, which is what? 4 nasi goreng, right? 3 Starbucks coffees, right? Which, I mean, if you think about a paper library is going to cost way more than this, right? Way more than this. Now, which is better, paper library or digital? Personally, I think paper library is better. Yeah. But not all schools have the money. Yeah. So your only choice is this. So different schools have different ways to pay. Sometimes the school will pay. Sometimes they say, students, please pay, because students buy a textbook already. So just add extra, like a textbook. Or combination. School pays half, student pays half, right? Or maybe research project. Those of you at university could maybe say, I want to do a research project. And in the research project, we want some money to pay for X Reading, do the research project, get money for it, get a grant, and then use it and then write your report. So there's many different ways. But I'm being honest now when I say, which is the best site, X Reading or ER Central? ER Central is free, but it has many bugs. And it may or may not work all the time, which is a problem if you have your students doing this. They'll be saying to you, teacher, it doesn't work. Teacher, I can't log in. Teacher, I can't find. So there's going to be lots of questions for you. So last week, 2 days ago, I was in Bandung, and the students there are using my website. And I said, how is X Reading? They said, too many bugs. Some texts don't work. I thought, oh, sorry. It works 80% of the time, but it doesn't work very well. It's quite old technology. Yeah. Now, there's one more site I want to show you. And this one is called Hello. Oh, there's an advert. This website, hello.org. This has about 3,000 or 4,000 listening or video. Everything I talked about for extensive reading, why it's important, exactly the same for extensive listening. Massive amounts of extensive listening. So this website has about 3,000 activities. So for example, here you can search for beginners, for intermediate, for advanced. And for example, if we one, you can see here we have the video, but we also have the text. We also have, let's see this. We have a quiz, we have some vocab, speaking activities, we have a game, right? So here, you can now listen to this lady. Oops, maybe my speakers.
Your idea for a movie. At some point in our lives, we've all come up with a plot which we think would be fantastic for a movie.
Get the idea, right? So there's about 3,000 of those. And the interesting thing is they're by speakers from all over the world, not only native speakers. There are sometimes people from Peru or from Nigeria, from India, from Poland. So really many, many different accents are useful. So this website is completely free, lo.org, but the students do not log in. There's no way for the teacher to know which text did the students read, what was this, how many words did they watch. Right? No way. It's not useful for teachers. Useful for individual students, but not really so useful for teachers because you cannot check what they've done. You cannot check their quiz scores. Right? So this is why I say sometimes X Reading is probably a better website. Okay. Okay, does anybody have a question? Any questions about these sites? So talk together. Which of these do you think will be best for your students? X Reading, ER Central, or ELO? Please talk together for a moment or two. In terms of the websites, there are about, I think, 30 universities or schools using X Reading here in Indonesia. There are about 100 schools using ER Central, but I get complaints every day, right? And quite a lot of students are using ELO. As I say, the problem with ELO, as a teacher, you cannot track what the students are doing here. It's a problem. So let's conclude now. I know that we have to, you guys have to leave soon. So to review, why must we do extensive reading, right? Must. This is not, I don't mean it's a good idea. I mean, it's the cornerstone that holds everything together for language teaching. Done. Vocabulary. We need the course book, but we have to deepen the knowledge. So why should we must do extensive reading? To provide the massive fluent practice. Do you remember how many words the student need to get to advanced level? 4 million, remember? To recycle, the words come again and again and again. Grammar comes again and again and again. To build long-term learning, to consolidate and strengthen the learning from course books, to build reading speed, depth of knowledge, and to be enjoyable. Okay. But you may say, but what will they learn if they only read something easy? You may be thinking, well, they're reading easy books. They won't learn anything. How will I know they understand? How can I test them if they all read different books? How will I know they're actually reading? We have no time for this. We need to prepare students for tests. My students don't like to read. These are all things that teachers say so that you don't have to do this. But there's good answers for all of these. What will they learn if they only read something easy? They will learn to read. Actually, read. Yeah, we learn to read by reading. We learn to speak by speaking, right? You can't learn to read with something difficult because that's study reading. To read smoothly and fluently, you have to read something that's easy. As I said before, if they can pick up a book and they say, yes, I can read this without a dictionary, then they already know they can read this. It's not necessary for you to test them. And if they're moving the page quickly, they look like interested, then they are reading. If they read a book, why test them? As I mentioned before, it's not necessary to test them if they are READ. So as I said before, for this one, how do I know they're actually reading? Well, ask them to read something and then do something else. Write a report, make a presentation, make a poster, and assess them on that. If they can't do this, it means they didn't understand, right? We have no time for this. Fine. You say no time. My question is, where are you going to give them millions of words of text? Where are they going to build reading confidence? Where are they going to build reading fluency? If you choose to say no, they will not build fluency, they will not build confidence, they will not meet lots and lots of words. Your choice. Students do better on tests if they do extensively. Why? Because they can read faster. Because they read at the inference level, not just the literal. A main reason students don't do well on tests is they cannot finish the test. They read too slowly. Lots of research shows that students do better if they do extensive reading plus course notes. Your students don't like to read. They love to read. As I said yesterday, they will read all day. They just don't like boring stuff. So if you have something interesting, problem solved. And people say to me, my students are not motivated. 80% of your motivation problem will be solved if they have something interesting to read or listen to. I think the most of the stuff students get to read and listen to is pretty boring stuff. And I don't want to read it either. Yeah. So if you look at your textbook that you've got and think, am I interested in this topic in Unit 1? Am I interested in Unit 2? Am I interested in Unit 3? Very often you will probably say no too, right? But with extensive reading, they can choose which book they want, what topic they want. They have a lot more freedom. Yeah. So if you want these slides, you can now download them. This is the QR code for you. You will download a PDF of my slides. I have said so many things yesterday and so many things today. So we have a recording and you have the slides. Please go and think again about this. Please go to the Extensive Reading Foundation website and find the Extensive Reading Guide, right? So please do those things. So does anybody have a final question? Any questions, please? I think you need to go in a minute, right?
Okay, if anybody have any question, please write in, because this probably a final minutes for us to have Rob here in Tasikmalaya before he departs to Yogyakarta tomorrow. So If you have any question, please do let us know. Anybody? Okay, it seems like you guys all understand about the topic.
I do ask you, please, if you're a student, please go to your teacher and say, "Hey, teacher, can we please have some books?" If you're a teacher, please think about adding this to your library. Now, as a teacher, you may not want to do this yourself. That's okay. But somebody in your school should be doing this. Somebody in your school should be doing the reading and the listening for the students. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, please give a round of applause again for Professor Rob for doing amazing presentation today. So as I said before, if you have any question, please do let us know. But if there's no more question, I would like to briefly summarize everything that we have today. So from yesterday's session, we as both teacher and learners have to kind of locate where extensive reading lies for their curriculum. And once you already know that it is important for you to have extensive reading, now at the second session today, we've talked a lot about the practicality of extensive reading. So yeah, at the very beginning, we've been reminded about how we should kind of leveling for different level of students, beginner, intermediate, and then advanced. Please do make some classification, use some tags, different colors, different levels, and etc. There's also a really good saying that a student needs to read one book a week to stop the forgetting curve. Do you still remember the forgetting curve? And it's really ideal for students to read 2 books a week to kind of deepen their knowledge. It is also always a good way to allow students to have opportunity to read themselves. So please make some time for them to read before the class or during when the teacher prepares for the computer and materials. Let them read silently. And then lastly, of course, please utilize all the features that Rob has shared with us, the X reading, the ER Central, and ELO. Okay. So that's everything that we have today. And then Rob, please.
I forgot to say
Mhm.
2 things. I work for a group called the ER Foundation, Extensive
Mhm.
Reading Foundation. They offer grant. So if you're a teacher and you want some money to build a library, you can make an application to the Extensive Reading Foundation and we may send you some money for books. Right? Now, this year, all the money is gone. But from January, if you make a grant application and you make a good case for why you get the money, because it's competitive. Many schools throughout the world want this money, right? So there's grants available. Last year, we gave $5,000 to schools in Kenya, for example, right? The second thing is, if you're a teacher and you want to know more about extensive reading, next year in Japan, in Hokkaido, in September, there's a 3-day conference only about extensive reading. Now, you may or may not know that it's actually very cheap to go to Japan right now. Many people want to go to Japan, but we think, oh, it's so expensive. Well, recently, the yen, Japanese yen, really bad. It's now the cheapest for 40 years to go to Japan right now. So if everybody wants to go to Japan, your dream, this is the time to go, right? So Japan next year, Hokkaido, there's a 3-day extensive reading conference. And again, we offer scholarships, $1,000 for teachers to go to the conference. Yeah. So please go to the ER Foundation. I'll show you the website. I showed it to you before. Where are we? This one, ER Foundation. You can see here at the top, erfoundation.org. Yeah, this has the guides, lots of information for teachers, and so on and so on. One more time. Thank you very much.
Okay, give a round of applause again for Professor Rob for sharing with us today. So, move to the next agenda, which is given a certificate or a gift from the head of IKB, Ikatan Keluarga Besar Bahasa Inggris. Okay, so please make your way here and yeah. So for the rest of you, thank you so much for participating for these 2 days. Acep, do we take picture together? Okay, please stay on your seat as we gonna progress with the photo session. But before that, we're gonna do some ceremonial gift, yeah, presenting. Oh yeah, okay. Sekarang. Oh yeah. Really good. Okay, give a round of applause again. So, okay, you can move to the middle. Okay. Okay, thank you. uh, have a photo session. Okay. Okay. So Rob, we're gonna have a final photo session together with the rest of the participants. So yeah, we're gonna sit here in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. So, very final announcement is that thank you for coming again. And I just received announcement that your certificate will be in a digital form. So it will be accessible through a group, WhatsApp group, and I'll send the link later. And before that, we're gonna have some closing remarks from the head of IKB to Pak Soni, silakan. The stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. By giving thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and His grace, and my prayer and greetings continue to be given to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his family, his friends, to all of us as his ummah. We have finally completed the international workshop entitled Unlocking Language Fluency through extensive reading, strategies, tools, and best practices safely and smoothly. We hope that what has been explained by the speaker, Mr. Robert Brian Waring, will be useful for all us in order to improve our ability in teaching English, especially reading. On these occasions, I, as chairman of IKABI, Ikatan Keluarga Alumni Bahasa Inggris, and presenting the chairman of English Language Education Study Program and the dean of the teaching faculty, Silima University, would like to thanks to Mr. Robert Brian Waring as a such person to English lecturers, to the moderators, Mr. Acep Gafar Aulia, and to Mr. Lutfi Ismail and the entire workshop committee. And also to all participants, both online and offline. And on behalf of organizers, we apologize for any shortcoming during the implementation of this workshop. Furthermore, on behalf of the committee, this workshop is officially closed. Thanks for your attention. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selfie with me and you will. You know? Sure.
Harisa. Hari.
H-A-R.
Hi. There is I before E. And S-E.
S-E.
A.
A. A. Of course you can.
Yep.
Got your pen?